Did Bam Adebayo really just score 83 points in a single NBA game? Yes, you heard that right. 83. That's more than Kobe Bryant's legendary 81, making it the second highest scoring game in NBA history, behind only Wilt Chamberlain's untouchable 100. But here's the part that makes this story absolutely unbelievable. Bam Adebayo was never supposed to be the guy who does this. He's known for defense, for hustle, for being the heart of the Miami Heat. So how did a player famous for stopping superstars suddenly become one of the greatest scorers in NBA history for one night? And why are some fans saying this historic performance might be more controversial than it looks? Because once you see how this 83-point explosion actually happened, the story gets even crazier. Let's break it down. Did Bam Adebayo really just score 83 points in a single NBA game? Yes, you heard that right. 83. That's more than Kobe Bryant's legendary 81, making it the second highest scoring game in NBA history, behind only Wilt Chamberlain's untouchable 100. But here's the part that makes this story absolutely unbelievable. Bam Adebayo was never supposed to be the guy who does this. He's known for defense, for hustle, for being the heart of the Miami Heat. So how did a player famous for stopping superstars suddenly become one of the greatest scorers in NBA history for one night? And why are some fans saying this historic performance might be more controversial than it looks? Because once you see how this 83-point explosion actually happened, the story gets even crazier. Let's break it down. Packed arena in Miami. The lights blazing. The crowd roaring louder with every possession. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, one player was quietly rewriting basketball history. On March 10, 2026, inside the Cassia Center, Bam Adebayo delivered one of the most shocking performances the NBA has ever seen, an unforgettable night where he scored 83 points, the second highest single-game total in NBA history. Only one performance has ever been greater, Wilt Chamberlain's legendary 100-point game in 1962. And just like that, Bam Adebayo passed another iconic name on the list, Kobe Bryant, whose unforgettable 81-point masterpiece in 2006 had stood as the second highest mark for 2 decades. But here's the thing. This wasn't just a huge scoring night. This wasn't just another statistical milestone. This performance felt different. Because Bam Adebayo was never supposed to be the guy who scored 83. The night that shocked the basketball world. If you had asked NBA fans before this game which player might one day score 80 or more points, most people would have given you a list of elite scorers. Names like Kevin Durant, Luka Doncic, Stephen Curry, maybe even a young superstar still waiting for his moment. But Bam Adebayo, that's where the story becomes truly incredible. Because for most of his career, Adebayo has been known for something completely different. Defense, leadership, versatility, energy. He's a multi-time All-Star and one of the league's best defensive players, a center who can guard nearly every position on the floor. He's the kind of player coaches trust to anchor a team's identity. The kind of player teammates rely on for toughness. But historically, he wasn't known as a scoring machine. Which is why what happened that night in Miami felt almost unreal. When the game began, nobody expected history. At first, the game seemed like a normal regular season matchup. The Miami Heat facing the Washington Wizards. Another game in a long NBA season. Another night of basketball. But something started to feel different almost immediately. Adebayo came out aggressive. Every possession he attacked. Driving to the rim. Throwing contact. Finishing through defenders. And then the points began piling up. Fast. By the end of the first quarter alone, Bam Adebayo had already scored 31 points. 31. In 12 minutes. At that moment, fans in the arena began to realize something special was happening. But nobody, not even the most optimistic Heat fans, could have predicted what was about to unfold. The momentum builds. By halftime, the numbers were becoming almost unbelievable. Adebayo had already reached 43 points. Think about that for a moment. 43 points. In just 2 quarters. For many NBA players, 43 points would be the best game of their entire season. For Bam that night, it was just the beginning. The Miami crowd could feel it. Every time he touched the ball, the energy inside the arena grew louder. Every basket made the moment feel bigger. Because now the conversation had changed. This wasn't just a hot night. This was a historic one. The third quarter, history begins to feel real. When the third quarter started, something incredible happened. Instead of slowing down, Adebayo somehow got even better. Shot after shot. Drive after drive. Free throw after free throw. By the end of the third quarter, Bam had reached 62 points. And suddenly the question became unavoidable. Would he actually reach 80? Would he challenge Kobe's legendary record? Inside the arena, every fan knew they were witnessing something extraordinary. And across the basketball world, people watching on television and social media were beginning to react. NBA players, analysts, fans, everyone was asking the same thing. What is happening right now? Fourth quarter, a legendary moment. The final quarter of the game felt almost cinematic. Every possession mattered. Every shot felt historic. And as the points kept climbing, the tension in the arena became electric. Then finally, it happened. Bam Adebayo reached 83 points. When the final buzzer sounded, the stat line looked almost impossible. 83 points, 20 field goals, 7 three-pointers, 36 free throws made, 43 free throw attempts, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. Not only had he scored the second most points in NBA history, he had also set NBA records for free throws made and attempted in a single game. And the Miami Heat won the game 150-129. Just like that, Bam Adebayo had entered basketball immortality. Why this 83-point game was so unique. Now here's the part that makes this story even more fascinating. Because if you look at the history of the NBA's biggest scoring performances, they usually belong to players known for scoring. Wilt Chamberlain, Kobe Bryant, David Thompson, Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard, all elite offensive superstars. But Bam Adebayo, he built his reputation in a completely different way. For years, he has been one of the league's most versatile defenders, someone who impacts the game with rebounding, passing, and defensive intensity. Which makes this performance even more extraordinary. Because it wasn't just a scoring explosion. It was a reminder that greatness can appear in ways nobody expects. Breaking records no one expected. Another reason this performance shocked fans was the way Adebayo scored those 83 points. Yes, there were tough shots. Yes, there were deep three-pointers. But a huge part of his scoring came from something often overlooked in highlight reels. Free throws. Adebayo went to the line 43 times, making 36 of them both NBA records. That means defenders simply could not stop him without fouling. Every drive to the rim created chaos. Every possession forced the Wizards into impossible decisions. And over time, that relentless pressure added up. The emotional moment after the game. When the final buzzer sounded, the celebration was emotional. Adebayo embraced his family courtside. He celebrated with teammates. And he reflected on something deeply meaningful. Because one of the players he had just passed on the all-time list was someone he idolized growing up. Kobe Bryant. Adebayo later said the moment felt surreal. Think about that. Kid who grew up watching Kobe Bryant. Now sitting right behind Wilt Chamberlain in the NBA record books. That's the kind of moment that reminds us why sports can be so powerful. The debate that followed. Of course, whenever history is made in sports, debate follows. Some fans celebrated the moment instantly. Others questioned the circumstances. Was the defense too weak? Did the number of free throws inflate the total? Was the late-game scoring unnecessary? These debates are actually common in the history of massive scoring games. Even Wilt's 100. Even Kobe's 81. And now, Bam's 83. But many NBA players had a simple response. Basket is a basket. Points are points. And history remembers the number. Not the arguments. Legacy of 83. Years from now, when basketball fans talk about the greatest scoring performances ever, 3 numbers will always stand out. 100. 101. 102. Wilt. Bam. Kobe. And for Bam Adebayo, that night in Miami changed the way his career will be remembered forever. He was already an all-star. Already a champion of defense. Already a leader for the Miami Heat. But now, he also owns one of the most legendary performances the NBA has ever seen.